Hello everyone. Wanted to do a quick video. Got a bunch of guys on Instagram asking me some recurring questions about the braking system, coyote swaps, power steering system, alternator mount. Sadly, I'm not in the best position to show you the motor because it's all in pieces. But I'll give you an idea. I mount the alternator in the factory location, which is bottom side, driver side. There's all sorts of different options. Power by the Hour sells a bracket. It bolts around here and it mounts the alternator high side on the passenger side facing the motor, and that allows you to mount a 96 and up mod motor power steering pump, and that'll run with the belts. I didn't want to go that option because I didn't want to spend $550 on a bracket. So I mounted the alternator down here. All I have is the water pump, and I run a Volvo Ford electric power steering pump. Now, doing a coyote swap in this car, the cheapest option for me with the power steering was to run the Volvo electric power steering pump. These are 180 bucks on eBay. They came off a couple different Volvo models, and I don't know what Ford models, but they're popular. You can find them real easy. They have two connectors. This, I ended up buying this pigtail harness was like 75 bucks, also on eBay. There's two different generation pumps, and they'll show you diagrams on their page on eBay. What it does is it brings you a power and ground pigtail. Again, you could, if you really wanted to save some money, you could manually splice and wire this in. I just kind of wanted to plug and play. If I move the pump around, if the pump blows, disconnect it, put in another one, hot swap it in the paddock, I'm back on the track. Then this connection over here is the sensor side, which I think pretty much is only power for me. Now, these pumps run on a factory car. They have a VSS, vehicle speed sensor, and that changes the gallonage, the flow, to the power steering rack. So at low speeds, parking, parallel parking, K parking, the pump is working very hard to keep the flow up, so your power steering is very assisted and it's easy for the driver. At high speeds, that gallonage backs off, so you have more control, more feel for high-speed driving. Since I'm not running this in a stock car, the pump goes into like a limp mode where it only pushes out a constant set of fluid to the rack. So the autocross guys don't really like these pumps because with the quick left-right changes and very chicane after change of direction, this pump cannot keep up with all those inputs on the steering wheel, so you pretty much lose power steering. In my case, on the road course stuff, I haven't had any issues with it. Whatever it flows in the limp mode has been good enough. I'm happy with it. I mounted it back here in the trunk. I mean, it's not that heavy. Maybe it's 15 pounds. I don't know. It's obviously heavier when you fill it with fluid. I don't know the actual weight, but I wanted the weight over the passenger side wheel, which is the lightest side in this car. That's why there's a battery back here, my AccuSump's going back here, and I just did a 50-pound weight ballast back here. So I wanted to keep most of the weight, or get all the weight back here that I could possibly get. I've seen guys just mount these things under the hood and run them. Again, that was the cheapest power steering option that I could go. I do plan on buying another pump just in case that one ever blows. On the power steering side, I do run a cooler on the low side, which goes from the rack back to the pump. And also on the low side, I run a power steering fluid filter. It's got a filter element in there, and it is has a magnet, so it'll pick up metal shavings. So if I'm ever, putting some wear on the rack or putting some wear on the pump and there's metal going through it, at least it'll get filtered and collected there. On the high pressure side, I did -6 PTFE lines, stainless steel braided, all from hot Hot Rod Fuel Hose Company. And then Maximum Motorsports, it's a little dirty and dark, but Maximum Motorsports sells a Dash 6 in and out AN fittings specifically for these Ford racks. They're the right thread and pitch and all that. So you can see low side was just regular. I think these are transmission lines. High side's PTFE. What else? I like having the pump in the rear for the weight, but that also gives me a ton of fluid. I run regular no-name ATF, cheap stuff. Let's see if I can find it for you. Give me a second here. Yep, I think this is it, multi-flow. You're supposed to run, the Volvo pumps, you're supposed to run some fancy Volvo power steering fluid, and it's extremely expensive. So I've been running a basic no-name ATF. It runs fine. I got plenty of fluid. I got a cooler for the track abuse. I got a filter. Very happy with that. I've had no issues. Another nice thing with the electric pump is I don't need to fire up the car. I can just turn the pump on with a switch, and then if I got to move the car in the driveway or shimmy it around the garage, or if it's late at night, early in the morning, I don't need to fire up the loud Coyote to have power steering. So that's kind of a nice feature as well. Moving on to the brakes. When you Coyote swap a Fox body, there's two options. You're either going to have to go Hydro Boost, which is like a 96 and up mod setup, or you're going to have to do manual. The reason is because the vacuum booster on these cars is so big, you will not be able to fit the motor in here. So when you go manual, there's this black delete plate. You get rid of your booster. Your master cylinder pretty much bolts right to the firewall. This is a Maximum Motorsports kit. You can adjust the feel of your brakes by going to a smaller or a larger master cylinder. I don't remember what this is. This is some Cobra one. I got to look at my parts list. It comes with an adjustable pedal, a really reinforced brake lever. So, it's not just factory stuff here and you just get rid of the booster. There's a whole kit by that is designed for this. They did all the math so you can drive this car on the street. A lot of people are worried about not having enough braking force to stop the car. I love it. Car's consistent. Was a no-brainer for me. It's like 5 pounds lighter, and it's just easier, and I guess one less thing to worry about. What else? So brakes is manual. I got the Willwood brake proportional valve in the car. Talked about brakes. Power steering pump, talked about that. Alternator, factory location. Real simple stuff. Let me see if I can find a part number for the belt. The belt is probably back here somewhere. I tried to keep this real simple, so when I go to AutoZone, I can tell the guy, I got a 2017 Mustang, I need a belt. It's not some crazy aftermarket, length and brand. When I had the Windsor motor, I started getting real crazy with a lot of stuff. I did an electric water pump, and things were pretty wild, and it started getting annoying when I needed to order parts from AutoZone or Napa, especially when you're traveling down south or to some of these states. They're not going to have what you need in stock. Wow, I don't even know where I put that belt, so that's pretty cool. It's got to be in this car somewhere. Yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to go over now. What else? I don't know where I put that belt. So I guess I will put a part number in the description on what belt. I'm pretty sure it's just a factory belt. These cranks, the crank pulley has two different belts on it, so one's for whatever else. I only run one. It's got like an inside and an outside belt. Yeah, I think that's it. What else? Yeah, we wired up the power ground to a relay to a switch. Pretty simple on the power steering stuff. I also did, on the high pressure line, I also did an AN fitting. I think that's a Russell one. I got that on probably on Amazon, so I can post part numbers for that. I've had, like I said, I've had numerous guys asking me, how did you do this steering setup, and I was texting them all the different part numbers and whatnot, so I can put that all in the description. Again, it was just kind of most cost effective, easiest way to do the alternator mount, power steering mount, set it all up, and it's been working fine. I've had no issues with it. So that's about it for now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you need help with, let me know. I got part numbers for the Coyote swap stuff. I got the price of all this and where I got it from, and whatever you're doing, Coyote swapping a Fox, doing race car stuff, I'd love to help out. So let me know what you need. Thanks.